I am going to tell you something that nobody in the business of teaching has ever had the honesty to say. Respect cannot be taught, not the real kind. You cannot learn it from a book. You cannot build it from a course. You cannot manufacture it from a list of behaviors carefully assembled to produce a desired impression, the real kind, the kind that walks into a room before you do, the kind that remains after you have left, the kind that people carry in their nervous systems long after the conversation ended. That kind is not built, it is revealed, it is what remains when everything performed, everything managed, everything carefully presented for the consumption of others has been stripped away, and what is underneath is someone who has already decided that they do not need your assessment of them to know who they are. I have walked into rooms that wanted me dead. I have sat across from people whose entire professional identity depended on dismantling mine. I have been the most wanted, the most hunted, the most inconvenient man in the history of several very powerful institutions, and I have never, not once, asked any of them for their respect. I simply made it unreasonable not to give it. Allow me to show you how there was a morning I walked into the most heavily secured federal building in Washington and surrendered, not because I was caught, not because I had no choice, because I chose to. I selected the moment, I selected the terms, I selected what I was willing to give and what I was not, and I walked in on my own and handed myself to the people who had been hunting me for 20 years. Do you understand what that communicated? Before I said a single word, it communicated I am never not in control of what happens to me. Even my surrender is a decision I made, not one that was made for me. The most powerful entry you will ever make in any room, in any situation, in any relationship, is the one you chose. The one that says, I am here because I decided to be here, not because circumstances left me no alternative. People respect volition. They respect the person who selected this moment, this room, this conversation, and could have selected otherwise. Arrive always as if you chose, because the alternative, arriving as someone who had no choice, is the beginning of never being taken seriously again. I have been asked by governments, by colleagues, by people I genuinely loved to explain myself. I never did, not because I owed them nothing, but because I understood something that most people learn too late. Explanation is permission seeking in disguise. Every time you explain a decision that was not questioned, every time you justify a choice to someone who had no authority over that choice, every time you provide reasons where none were requested, you are saying, I am not certain I had the right to do this. Please tell me I did. And the moment you signal uncertainty about your own authority, you have handed it to whoever is listening. I have made decisions that ended careers, altered governments, changed the trajectory of organizations with 100-year histories, and I explained none of them to anyone who had not already demonstrated through their loyalty, their judgment, their demonstrated understanding of what I was building, that they had earned the right to the explanation. Stop explaining yourself to people who are not paying the price of the decisions you are making. Their comfort with your choices is not a prerequisite for making them. I once sat in a room with a man pointing a weapon at me, and I ordered food not to be theatrical. I was hungry, and his weapon, while inconvenient, was not going to change. Whether I was hungry, here is what that communicated. Your threat has not altered my internal state, and a person whose internal state cannot be altered by your threat is a person whose internal state you do not control. And a person you do not control is a person you cannot predict. And a person you cannot predict is the most dangerous person in the room. Composure is not the absence of feeling. I felt everything in that room. I simply had decided long before that moment which things were allowed to alter my external state. And a man with a gun making demands he had not thought through was not on the list. Your nervous system is your loudest argument, louder than your words, louder than your credentials, louder than anything you have ever deliberately communicated. People feel your state before they hear your position. Regulate the state, and the position takes care of itself. When people can predict you, they can prepare for you. When they can prepare for you, they can counter you. When they can counter you, they stop respecting you and start managing you. I have never been manageable, not because I was erratic. Erratic is just unpredictability without intelligence, but because I understood that the moment someone builds a complete model of your behavior, you have become, in their psychology, a known quantity, and known quantities, however impressive, do not command the same gravity as the thing that cannot be entirely mapped. I told stories. When people expected threats, I walked away. When people expected me to fight, I expressed genuine warmth toward people who expected contempt, not as performance, but because I operated from an internal framework so entirely my own that external expectations had no reliable surface. To grip, become someone whose next move cannot be confidently predicted, not through inconsistency, but through depth. A shallow person is predictable because there is only one layer. A deep person is never fully mapped because every layer revealed suggests another beneath it. There is a man who has stood beside me for 30 years. He has seen everything. The parts that would make most people leave, and the parts that made him stay. He stayed, not because I gave him no choice, but because I showed him early one real thing, not the empire, not the intelligence, not the carefully constructed architecture of competence, something that cost me something, a wound that was genuinely mine, genuinely present, genuinely not performed. And that one real thing produced a loyalty that no demonstration of strength, no accumulation of power, no years of reliable competence could have manufactured. Most people make one of two mistakes. They show everything and lose their power, or they show nothing and lose their humanity. The precise middle, the one carefully chosen truth, shown to the right person at the right moment with the right weight, builds the only kind of trust that survives. Everything, show one real thing and continue as if your wholeness never required their response to remain intact. There's a negotiating position more powerful than any leverage, any intelligence, any resource. The genuine, complete, unhurried willingness to walk away. I have walked away from things that most people would have destroyed themselves, trying to keep, not because I did not want them, but because I understood that the moment you cannot walk away from something is the moment that something owns you. And I have never allowed anything or anyone to own me. The most powerful position in any negotiation, in any relationship, in any room, is the one where your internal state does not change based on the outcome where you want the thing, genuinely, but do not need it, to remain exactly who you are. People feel that willingness. They feel the difference between someone who is negotiating from desperation and someone who is negotiating from preference. Desperation is extractable. Preference is untouchable. The moment you become someone who can genuinely, completely walk away, you become someone people will do almost anything to make stay. Every institution that ever hunted me wanted the same thing. They wanted the story of having caught me, not because I was the most dangerous. There are more dangerous people in quieter rooms, doing quieter things. But because I had become a psychological landmark, the measuring stick, the man you beat, to prove you were the best. And you do not become that through force, through strategy, through accumulated power alone. You become that through one thing, consistency of self. I am the same person in every room I enter, the same in a federal interrogation, as in a private conversation, the same when I am winning, as when everything around me is collapsing, the same when I am loved, as when I am hunted. There is no gap between who I am publicly and who I am privately. No edited version, no performance, no carefully managed presentation of a self that is different from what is actually there. And that consistency, that complete, unbreachable sameness is what people were actually responding to. In every room, in every negotiation, in every moment of contact, they were not responding to what I said. They were responding to the evidence accumulated over a lifetime, that what they were seeing was all there was. No gap, no hidden version, no performance that would eventually crack. Just a person who had met themselves completely, without flinching, without apology, without the performance of being better than they are, and had decided this, all of this is what I am bringing, and I am not editing it for anyone. That is not a technique. That is the work. I want to leave you with something, not advice. I do not give advice. An observation in all my years, in all the rooms, across all the tables, against all the institutions and individuals who made it their business to bring me down. The ones who came closest were never the strongest, never the most resourced, never the most strategically prepared. They were the ones who had nothing left to lose, not because loss had broken them, but because loss had freed them from the performance of having something to protect. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one with the most power. It is the one who has already decided that their identity, their worth, their sense of themselves is not on the table. You want respect? Stop asking for it. Stop performing for it. Stop adjusting yourself to produce it. Become someone who has closed the gap between who they are publicly and who they are privately. Become someone whose composure is not a performance, but a permanent address. Become someone who has met every dark corner of who they are and decided, yes, this too is mine. Become someone who can walk away from anything and remain exactly who they were before they arrived. And respect will not be something you earn. It will be something people cannot reasonably withhold. Now, 3 things. 1 drop in the comments. Which of the 7 lessons hit you hardest and why? 2, share this with someone who is working too hard for respect they should already have. 3, subscribe to Nara. Next week we continue with the lesson most people are most afraid of. How to have nothing left to lose and be more powerful for the having lost it. You are not waiting for permission. You never were. You were just waiting to stop asking for it.